Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Fetch.AI. This is going to go over a couple of the different ways that I'm looking at the counts, as well as what needs to happen to validate or invalidate those different scenarios. So we can see here that from November 2022, we've had a nice strong uptrend where we've seen 48x off of the lows here. Now it is possible that this could continue to push to the upside. And what I would be looking for within that idea would be that we are in an impulse where this is our wave one, we have a wave two, and effectively what we're looking for here is a bigger third wave. Now the third wave target would be 194. This would be the ideal third wave target. I would be, however, more interested on these internal counts here, where we could be looking for a move up towards this $8.10 for the blue third wave. If this does start to extend out, I will be looking at that possibility of seeing this 2.618 come into play if we are in fact looking for this bigger yellow third wave here. But let's take this one step at a time. The invalidation for this would be towards this 1608. If we cross this wave too low, this would invalidate the idea of extending out in this third wave, and would mean that potentially what we have here is a bigger corrective move where we could look to see this push down one more time, which we're going to go over in a second. But within this, as long as we hold this 1608, I will be looking for price to continue to push up in this third wave. If we do start to see a bigger retracement come into play here, where this third wave doesn't quite reach this 1618 target, what I want to see is that this wave one does not get crossed at this 60 cents 83. If we continue to hold the support above that area, we can look for a continuation up. If we start to lose that, we need to be a little bit careful, but we do have a scenario here where we could be looking for another 1-2, which we're going to go over in this video. So that is the primary way that I'm looking at it. If we do see that bigger rejection come into play here, where what we are saying is that this is either a 1 or an A wave, what we could then see is that we are looking at this bigger ABC pattern to the downside. Now within this idea, we'd be saying that we have 3 waves down, 3 waves up, and we're looking for this C wave down. Now the typical zone we look for this B wave rejection is here between this 395 to this 119. So we are well within this area, and if we do see price look to push up one more time, 395.29 is a zone that I'm going to be keeping an eye on, just to see if we get a reaction off of that. And if we do, what we'd want for confirmation of this count is to actually start to see 5-wave structure down. And then we'd need to see a bigger 5-wave move play out, where we'd be looking for this lower target area here of the 1713 to this 2 cent 19. This would align quite nicely with coming back into the channel, particularly this 0.382 and this 1-to-1 level. However, if we do look to push down deeper here, I will also be paying attention here to this 1236 to this 1382, which is aligning quite nicely with this 0.618. And in between those zones, we have the 50%, which is an important psychological level. So going to be keeping an eye on that as well as a possible target. Now, the most bearish scenario here would be that this whole move up is just corrective. Now, this is not good because corrective moves to the upside often mean that we are going to see lows get broken. But what I would be looking for if this is a corrective move where this is just W, X, and Y, is to see if price can hold this higher level here of this 30 cents 98 to this 2 cents 69. This would be then a great secondary accumulation zone if we are going to continue to the upside. We can see here as well that the red trend line that we have here is aligning quite nicely with this 50% zone, which would also be looking to potentially sweep this low. So there's a little bit of confluence in this zone of ideas that could look to play out here. Now, if we did see something like this where we've got a bigger 3-wave move down, I would then be looking for that possibility of a bounce to the upside. If the bounce fails to take the high, then we could be looking at a deeper retracement and a bigger corrective pattern. If, however, we start to see that 5-wave move down and we hit this zone, what I would then be looking for is that possibility of the flat, and then looking for that continuation up within that idea. Now, I didn't go over targets for this. If we did see price come back down into some of these lower key levels, what I would be looking out for here, particularly if we move towards this 1-to-1, would be another move to the upside. Obviously, we wouldn't know if this is an impulse yet, but if this was an impulse, then we'd be talking about much higher targets of 576. If we do just get something like a bigger corrective move from that point, we would still be talking about a move up towards $24, which is still a substantial amount of percentage. Now, if we are looking at this, we would be looking to actually start to break down soon, but I'm still leaning more towards the idea that we are still within this bigger third wave, and there's a couple of ways that this could look to actually play out. So we're going to come back in here onto the 12 hourly, and we're going to go over a couple of these different scenarios that I'm looking at within this move. Now, if this is our wave 2 completed over here at the 1608, what I would be looking for is how are we going to get towards this 810. Now, there's a few ways we could argue this. We could say that this whole move here is actually wave 1, and we're looking at this as a wave 2. Now, this next move here could technically be completed as 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we've actually completed our 5th wave as an extension. If this is the case, what I will be looking for is this 204 to this 127 to hold. If we do see just 3 waves down and we look to hold the support zone, this could then align with actually seeing an additional push to the upside. The most common target area for this wave 3 would actually be higher towards the 665. So if we do see price continuing to push up here towards this level, this would still align with this. All it would do is it would push this target box up higher, and if we did hit that 1.618, the target as a 4th wave would then be 363 to this 185. But I'm just keeping an eye on the idea that this wave 1 could have extended here, where what we could see is a shallower retracement here, and then see another 5th wave, which cannot be longer than this wave 3 over there. I'm treating this count as possibly having completed here, and we'll see if we get a bigger retracement. The key thing here is we want to see a retracement roughly the same size as this one over here. Either that, or it needs to come down in price in a sharp way, where we see a more violent rejection down towards some of these key areas. But I will be watching these to see how we react. We obviously do have this wick over here, which could be quite interesting to keep an eye on. We have the 382 sitting at this 157, and the 50% towards this 127.65. Key areas to watch, in my opinion, if we do see price looking to push back to the downside. Now, within the next idea here, we could say that this wave 3 is still incomplete, this white wave 3 that we've got here, and we could be looking to potentially try and push up directly to the 665. If this is the case, I'd be looking at this as potentially having a 1-2 in here, and this is actually our 3rd wave. We're looking for a 4th and a 5th, where we could see this 393 to this 341 area come into play if we don't get further extension. There is always the possibility that this could be 1-2, 1-2. We have another 1-2. The problem I have with this is that this structure here is much bigger than anything that we've got lower down here. So if this is the case, it would make more sense that this move is possibly completed. We're going to get a bigger retracement, and then we're going to look to push up, which we're going to go over in a second. But this is looking for the idea that the wave 3 is still incomplete, and that would then mean that after this 393 to this 341 comes into play, we could still be looking for this white target box, where we would get one more push up, we'd get another bigger retracement, and then we'd look to push up again, and that would then look to complete the 5-wave move here. Now, the key thing that I'm trying to get at with this is that what we want to do with this move is get towards this $8.10 region. If we do continue to push up in this way, this would give us more confidence that we are in this blue wave 3. One of the other things that I want to talk about is that it is possible here that we could have a series of 1s and 2s. Now, within this, what we'd say is that we have this is 1, 2, this is another 1, 2, and what we'd be looking for would be a bigger push to the upside here towards this level of this $4.21. If we do see price continuing to push up here towards this $4.21, which would align quite nicely with that idea that the 5th wave is still incomplete here, where we could see 393 to 341 come into play. This would then mean that we could hit this 1.618, and then what I'd be looking for would be the possibility of seeing price actually come back down towards this 257 to this 147 area. Now, the key thing here is ideally we want to see this 1618 to get hit, but really, even if we do complete here, as long as we hold this 205 to this 127, it is possible that we could see something like this. And then the key thing within this is we'd be looking for an additional 4th and a 5th afterwards. So if we hit those ideal targets, then this would push our target box up towards this 768 to this 557. And then we'd be looking for an additional 4th towards 279 to this 112 before looking for this final push up in this 5th wave towards this 1404 to this 960. Now, this would then mean that all of this move here is within this higher degree wave 3, looking for that $8.10. So that last one that we talked about, where this is a series of ones and twos, could actually look to push us even higher than that. So this is why it's going to be important to see how the internals are playing out for more accurate targets. Now, it is possible here that, like I said, we have this series of ones and twos, and I'm still open to the idea that this in itself could be another 1 and a 2. Now, the most common target area here would be 382 to this 376. Now, this would be a very bullish count, because what this would be saying then is that as long as we hold this 50 cents 86, we could see price continue to push up in a bigger impulse here, where this is actually wave 1. We get a wave 2 to the downside, and then we start to push up for that wave 3. Now, I've taken this wave 2 location off of this 0.618 here, just because this would be a very interesting retest of some of these highs. If it doesn't come down as deep, then it would change the upside targets here, but 1830 would be then the wave 3 target for this move. Now, this ties into two different counts that we have here. If we count this as 1, 2, this could then be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we'd still have this as an additional fourth wave over here and a fifth wave up. It is also possible, however, like I said, that we could have this as 1, 2, 1, 2. This becomes another 1, 2, and this would mean that we have an additional 2 fifth waves to come at a later point. So this would be very bullish. The targets for this, if we come off the 0.618 and we don't get further extension, would be towards $37 to this $24 region. But I would be expecting a bit more of a pullback here. At least to this 382, but I mean, ideally into this lower region here would give us a bit more confidence, especially with a retest and a hold of this high. This could very much be a bullish move to the downside, though it would be quite substantial. So we need to just be aware that there is the possibility that we could see something like a 62% drop before seeing that push to the upside. Just something to bear in mind if you are, aping in. Now, one other way I want to talk about this is that what we could also see here is a much deeper retracement. This would mean that we're going to actually possibly break this wave 4 here, which would be towards this 51.90. Now, within this idea, what we'd then be saying is that this is 1, 2, and instead of looking at this move as extending out for this bigger wave 3 directly, we were looking for this $8.10. What we could see then is that price actually comes back down first, where this move completes. Now, this is still valid even if we do push up one more time here, or alternatively, if we do get this as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I will still be looking out for this possibility of a deeper retracement, looking to hold 1608 but see a substantial breakdown before looking for that continuation up. Now, given our current high that we have over here, the support zone would be between $1 and 30 cents 30. Now, this 382 once again would be very important because it is a retest of these highs. If we do break down towards that 0.618, this would also align with sweeping this low over here, so it would also be quite an interesting zone to keep an eye on. Now, with this, the 1.618 off that 0.618 would be here towards $83. We'd get a fourth wave and a fifth wave, which could look to push us up towards this zone of this 263 to this 129. Now, this would align quite nicely here with the idea that we are forming this bigger third wave, where we're looking for this 194 as a possible target, but it would mean that we'd have a much deeper retracement come in before we look to push up into that area. Now, if we do see something like this, where this is 1, 2, 1, 2, this could actually exceed these higher targets here, because what this would then mean is that we have this as an additional 1, 2 over here. So at the end of this move here, we'd get another fourth and a fifth, which would look to push us above these levels. Now, I'm not saying that this is going to happen, but it's something that I'm just keeping an eye on. If we do hold structure, then yeah, it becomes a very viable option. Okay, so I know that there was a lot of information in this video and a lot of different counts. The key thing with the Elliott wave is to watch how the waves react at certain key pivot points, and then to count the internal waves. Now, I'm going to come in a bit closer here, and we're going to talk about a couple of the different support zones that we just talked about and the different ways that we were looking at it. So the first one, and the most local one, where we could see support come in before seeing an additional push up here, would be this 238 to this 175. This would be looking at that third wave incomplete. then we'd be looking for that possibility of this zone here of this 391 to this 341. If we then complete this move, I will be looking for that possibility that we're going to see the white fourth wave come in here towards this 204 to this 129. This would change slightly if we push up higher. The target would then be between 228 and this 137, but off of where we currently are, even if we do break down slightly more here, if we hold this white target box, I'm going to be looking for that possibility of a push to the upside here, where 479 to 368, that would be based off of this high currently, would be our target. Now the invalidation for the blue count is here at this 122. If we cross that, it becomes invalidated, that we're not looking for that fifth wave in that way. The white count over here would be 78 cents 80, which would invalidate that idea of seeing this push to the upside. If we're looking at the extension and we start to break down in a more aggressive way here, but hold this zone here of this 382 to this 376, then we could be looking for that possibility of a direct push up here towards this $18.30. Now that would be looking at this as 1, 2, and then this is our third wave. Now, if we do lose these key levels and we actually invalidate this by crossing the 50 cents 86, I'm going to be keeping an eye out on this lower level here of this $1.63 to this 30 cent 34 for the possibility of seeing a bigger push up here for this $86 as our bigger wave 3 target. Now, if we do lose this lower region here of this 1608, going to be looking out for potentially coming down here into the 1643 to this 216, and if we lose this 0074, this would invalidate all those bullish counts that we have currently. So I hope you found that useful, and if you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video, leave us some feedback down below, and also in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Take care.